Welcome back to Zombiepalooza Radio Live. Tonight we have a very special guest, film producer and director Lee Zellars, whose vampire feature, Sometimes She Bites, has been over a decade in the making, from 2013 until now. Lee has carried this story with him, and just recently it earned second place in the Indie Gathering in Cleveland. We're going to talk to him about the long road, the craft, and the heart behind this project. Lee, thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get a little bit of the background of who Lee Zeller is and what it was that bit you to make the film Sometimes She Bites.
Who is Lee Zellars? Well, I started out as a freelance photographer. I always had a passion for photographs, drawings, and stuff like that. And so I started, like I said, doing freelance work. Then I stumbled upon this book by Robert Rodriguez. And then I saw a DVD. Well, I saw it on. It used to be the Independent Film Channel back then, and he had a running commentary for his movie El Mariachi. And like when I saw that, it was a game changer. I mean, the light bulb went on, all of that kind of stuff, rockets, whatever. I knew I wanted to make movies, and so I switched from doing freelance photography, still did a little bit on the side, but then I had to focus more on about cinema and all of that kind of stuff, capturing motion versus still stuff. And but Robert Rodriguez was a key part to my beginning venturing into filmmaking. He just sort of made it. He took away all of the mystery and the stuff that I thought was sort of beyond my reach, and he made it. He showed me that this was very doable, and so I did it.
What fascinates me about your story is not only that you made a vampire film, but that you stayed with it for as long as you did. And that kind of
Yes.
dedication in the indie world, where often projects fizzle out.
Yeah.
Let's talk
Yeah.
about that journey. Give me some inside bite to how this thing got started, first made a tick in your head to like up to winning second place at the indie gathering.
Well, I've always had like vampire movies from from the ones with Christopher Lee and up until Bram Stoker, uh, and I was sort of always fascinated by that kind of story. And then one time I saw this movie called Let the Right One In. I think it came out like in 2008, a Swedish film, and it was a unique story. I never seen a vampire story like this because it dealt with like young. They was like kids, really. They were like teenagers, 15 years old or something like that. And it was a different story than what you typically would see in a vampire. So when I saw that, I was like, hmm, I'd like to try to create something like different from our typical type of vampire genre. So I dived into this story called Sometimes She Bite. And little did I know that the story would end up biting me several times.
Yes, sir.
Yes, it did. Because uh, I first ventured down this road, I believe it was like about 2011, 2010, 2011, somewhere around there, 2012 or something. And so started out, had this idea of going to do this black and white story, kind of give it a little that sort of nostalgic type look, but then yet have a different kind of vibe to it. And everything was going fine. We was almost nearing the end of production, and then a key member of the film went AWOL. Just didn't want to do it no more. Never explained why. Left.
Just
So
ghosted you?
just
Mm.
ghosted me. It was the weirdest thing. Like it was like all of a sudden, the story was he ran into Tommy Lee Jones from Motley Crue, the drummer,
Mm.
And supposedly he asked him, "Would you be security for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure. Forget the vampire movie I'm doing. I'll be security for you." And so that was that. So that left me kind of like, oh, how do I finish this movie? So we was trying to figure out different ways. Maybe, at times we were thinking about where we got his wardrobe. This person could put it on. We could film from a distance, and you wouldn't know it's him, and all of that kind of stuff. So we was thinking about doing all this kind of like ways of tricking the camera, but I didn't like that because it was taking me away from the original idea. So I just decided I'll just put this on the shelf and I'll come back to it another day. And I went on doing some other projects or whatever. Then around 2018, I felt the itch that, okay, feeling that bite again. Let's sink our teeth into this. Let's make this happen. Put my cast together. Felt like I had a really good cast. Um, this time we didn't make it even like midway. It was close to midway. And
Hmm.
our the lead actress, uh, started getting work out in LA, doing music, playing in a band, and then it became, I'm not gonna be able to do this. I got some other things to do, and so I'm like, again, and that at that time I was like, okay, I don't know what it is. I started having people telling me, I think your story is just jinx, is curse, or whatever. You just can't seem to make this happen. People saying stuff like that to me though, that's like fuel because it's like you're telling me I can't do this now. So now I'm like, I'm gonna do this because I want to do this, and I'm not gonna let these different circumstances stop me from doing it. So late 2023, ran into this actress, Chia Ashbury. She is a professional boxer, and the lead character in this, because I sort of, it's the story pretty much, the original concept pretty much still is intact, but I made changes over each time it didn't happen. And this time it was going to be based on a woman who was very physical. She was a boxer. And so that's why I picked this particular person to play the part, because she was a boxer. So I got the cast together this time. I'm telling them everybody involved in this, the whole history. So maybe I shouldn't have done that because that could have jinxed it. But I just wanted to let them know in case something weird happens. This has happened before, but this time it didn't. We was able to do it from the beginning, and we, was able to complete it, and finally, not giving up, being passionate about something. When you feel there's something that you just, when you have something in you that you just feel like I have to do this, like, because if I don't do it, it's for me, it's gonna say a lot about me. Like, I quit, I gave up, I failed, I let whatever stop me, and I'm not built like that.
Me
So
either.
so we was able to get the movie done. We got it to the Indie Gathering Film Festival in Cleveland, Ohio.
Yes, you did.
Waited to the notifications. Found out I got selected. I'm like, cool, I got selected. Then find out not only select, we get second place. What? What? Second place? Unbelievable.
I I love the fact that you kept going and you gave yourself the opportunity to be able to have that experience of what that was going to be like for you.
Yeah. um, because as when you're trying to bring a vision, this thing you got in your head, and it haunts you after a while because you see it, you see it from the beginning to the end, but you want other people to see it. And you, since you got this in your head and now you want to share it with the world, you got to figure out a way to make it happen. And then when the challenges come along where you got a lead actor who decided want to go do something else, you can either just be like, well, forget it, that's it, don't hire this actor no more, and just go on to the next thing. Which I did go on to the next project, but I always knew I was going to come back to this because this was like it was just one of those films I felt like I had to do it. I had to make it. And so we did.
All right. I am going to bring up the trailer,
Oh, cool.
and so you can show that off.
Yeah.
It's
It's
pretty
good to
cool. Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
tell something to work. It's been such a long ordeal.
I don't know. I've never felt like this before.
Well, I mean, you've never been shot before, number one. It takes time.
It's true. I've never been shot before, but something's not right.
Hello, Lanisha.
Hey, doctor.
Well, good news is I don't see any real issues with your wounds. They seem to be healing remarkably well.
Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Um, appetite.
You want to see us, Captain?
Yes, have a seat. So, where are you at with Lanisha Brooks' case?
We're still waiting on the final results.
Minus a large amount of blood loss and very little at the crime scene. It appears that this murder may have taken place at another location.
Yeah.
That I love that. Every time I see that, I'm looking at him like, okay, interesting pull in for a story, what's happening with these characters,
Yeah.
and I'm interested in seeing the development of how it goes within the film.
Yeah. Like I was saying, when I saw the movie Let the Right One In, Only Lovers Left Alive, those vampire stories were very different from the ones that I was used to seeing. And that put an ideal in my mind, like versus the normal vampire, especially like from the nostalgic ones, the ones of Christopher Lee and those ones back then. Um, I wanted to do one with a different take where what if a person, this person becomes a vampire, but they're not happy about the idea that they're a vampire because they realize now in order for me to continue to survive, I got to drink human blood. Most likely innocent people who I don't know. But if I don't do this, I can't live. And so I wanted to create a story about a person that was that was in that situation where it was going to be a challenge. But they knew that in order for them to maintain their life, they would have to do what vampires do. But it was yet a battle within their self of doing this. But it's either you're gonna either do it or you're not. You're gonna drink blood to survive, or you're not. And so her character basically, it made me think of also like the series that's on Dexter, about the serial killer.
Yes.
Not your typical serial killer, because he's kind of like he's likable. He killed people that sort of deserves it. So it's kind of like you can kind of look past what his real nature is, because his nature is he's a serial killer. He thrives on taking human life, but he put his focus on those who he feel deserve it. And that's what I wanted to do with this character, where I had her be like, yes, she's struggling with this fact of being a vampire, but she knows she got to still survive. But then she put her focus on people who done things to her, done wrong by her. Then it's somehow okay.
I'm going to spotlight your award here.
Yeah,
What I mean, after everything you went through, and to be able to get that, and the fact that we had close to 500 submissions for
yeah.
the Indie Gathering this year, what was it like to be able to get this award?
Like for me, sometimes if my film just gets selected, like that means a lot. Like somebody thought enough of my project, my work, to like, well, we're gonna like at least show it at a festival. To win second place, like that's like, okay, that's first is right here, you're right there. You're like, like here's great too, because it's like I could have like not even been there. And
Yes.
so, yeah,
You
and
could have just trashed the whole thing and said, the hell with it, because it ain't working.
it's not working, just let it go. But not letting go, believing in what I was doing, being passionate about my love for creating movies. I couldn't let go. It wasn't gonna allow me to let go. And so now the end results was a second place win at the Indie Gathering Film Festival 2025. Best second place for best drama. That's exciting. I mean,
Yes.
it's exciting. There was no way I wasn't gonna be there. I'm like, I gotta be there to see this. And so I'm like, we're gonna hightail it up to Cleveland and enjoy this moment, because you don't always get moments like that.
No.
And as a filmmaker, moments like them mean a lot. Means a whole lot.
I heard a little bird tell me that when you arrived at the Indie Gathering with your group, you were very shy
Yeah.
and didn't want to, like, we weren't really sure what to do, or who to interact with and all of that. But then the little birdie said, after he did an interview, he was very, like, excited and was talking about his film, and the other people with him were talking about the film, and they were excited about it. When I
Yeah.
heard that, I was like, uh, oh my goodness, that, because we don't get to hear very much about what happens in the interim of us, like, where they're taking videos or photos and or doing interviews and stuff, and we don't get to hear some of the stuff that happens behind the scene.
Yeah. I mean, it means a lot because, you know, as an artist and as a filmmaker, it's like you create, you have these ideas in your head and you find a way to get it out there. And the purpose is because you want other people to see it, and you hope that they will like it like you do. And then to go and like after you may have your premiere in your city or whatever, and then this, you start submitting it out to the film festivals. And I always tell people like that's when you get the real sort of like honesty about your work. Yeah, when you do a local premiere in your hometown and everybody there that knows you and your neighbors and your family and friends come out, everybody, yeah, everybody's gonna say good things because they don't want to hurt your feelings. But when you submit it to somewhere where people don't know you, like indie gathering people, they just saw the film, they looked at it amongst all these other ones, and somehow it kept moving up further and further up the ladder. That says a lot. That's the kind of stuff that encourages a filmmaker to continue doing his work and want to get better at it, because you realize there's people outside of your circle
Yes.
respect
Respect what you do,
what
what you're
this
doing.
is doing, and that's everything. I mean, it's because if you don't have people liking what it is that you do, then you could just end up in a room by yourself, create your own work, and just being your own audience. Okay, let's run the clip. you
Right,
know.
right.
So it means a lot to go somewhere where you don't like total strangers. Like I'm up there, like no, I don't know nobody. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I don't, let me just kind of sit back and just take it all in. And it was so cool. It was, and I got to meet you. It was so cool. Have the interview. That was so cool. It's like full circle moment to
Love
go
this for
from,
you.
yeah, because to go from like first attempt fail, come back a few years later, try it again, fail, and I'm literally, people are telling me like your movie's probably just jinx. It's like the movie, I can't think of the guy who's from Terry Gilliam, I think uh he's doing a movie with Johnny Depp, and he just had so many problems with trying to make this Don Quixote. He just
Yes.
kept, yeah, and it was just a disaster. And I kind of felt, but I'm like, I'm not gonna quit at this though. Like I was like, this is gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
So I
And
asked you to do some photos so I could get some shots of you.
okay,
And this one up on the screen,
yeah,
that that is like super cool because it shows that where everything starts is all up here.
yeah. That's where everything is. There is, you get a idea, and like people sometimes ask me like, how do you come up with the ideas for your stories? I'm like, sometimes it could be the smallest thing, and it triggers something where you get a thought, and then that builds into something else, and then you decide you want to put this on paper or a computer screen or a laptop, whatever. And but you feel this need to tell this story, and it has to come out. And then after you feel like it has to come out, then you gotta, well, I gotta figure out how I get it onto the screen because I need people to see this idea I've had up in my head. So this idea comes from your head, goes into your laptop, you type this story out. Next thing you're on these different locations with different people, asking them to do different things. I need you to bite this person. You know, I need some blood. I need more blood.
Yes.
It don't matter if it's gonna get in your hair or wash out. It's okay. You know, and you do all of that stuff, and then you have a moment like I had up at the indie gathering. It's like get an award for second place, like second place. I was like, for me, it was like, I gotta see who the first place person is. I gotta see they movie. And I watched a little bit of that, and I saw that. And I was like, it made me feel good
Yes.
because when you're an artist, you should be honest enough where you can recognize quality work of another person when you see it.
Yes.
And when I saw that, I was like, man, we in good company because that stuff looks really good, and I came right behind that. So that was good feeling.
Let's talk about the photo that is on the screen.
That picture there, it was interesting because it was I had people say like, okay, well, he's the co-star and she's the star of the show. She is like, why you got it like that? You should have her out front. He should be in back because she is the lead character. But I was like, listen to the title. The picture and the title to me it says it all. It's he's standing there with this woman back in these dark glasses, and you see a little bit of fame, and she's kind of resting, almost like she's ready to like leap over him. And the title is "Sometimes She Bites." He's like, this person right
I
here.
I completely fully understand why the positioning is the way it is.
Yeah,
And so for those who are like, well, I don't know, maybe blah, 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 blah. You know what? Make a film of your own,
yeah,
and then do your thing, whatever it is you want to do,
yeah.
and then maybe we can talk a little bit about that. And I I know you have had to have heard plenty of people
Oh,
go, oh, how difficult could it be? You just pick up like, one of these things and you just blah, 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 and you throw it together and maybe you
no,
do a little editing and
no.
uh-huh.
It's like even from capturing the photograph because that picture before they see the actual film, the actual movie,
It has
that
to tell a story.
has to tell that story. And I
Hmm.
felt that although maybe some people didn't see it like I did, but I don't care about that because I knew what I was trying to capture here, and I felt the image itself says the title. The image speaks the title. It's like this woman in back of me. She don't look like somebody you want to mess with. If I get away and let her come in the front and do what she does, because sometimes she bites, you don't want no parts of this. And and the thing with the story is, the guy who's playing it, Justin Jordan. Um, his you know you're in a relationship with somebody who's become a vampire, and now there got to be a trust issue going on because you're a vampire and I'm not, and
Hmm.
your nature is to devour human blood. And I gotta lay in the bed with you at night. I don't know. There got to be a lot of trust there. And so that's what I was trying to like do with this story
But
with
I think you did well, and I like the coloring of it. I like the styling. And so give me a little bit about why you chose to color it the way you did.
I kind of I wanted to play on a little bit of like one of the standout part is the red jacket, and that's always you we connect the red with blood, and that's what the vampires have to feed off of to stay alive. So and her being in this dark like black leather and having this kind of uh darkened look about her, with the shades and her standing in the back and just showing a little bit of thing. It's like, but then he's standing there and he's like very calm and relaxed
He
though.
chill.
Yeah, he's very chill.
Chill.
Yeah, because he, at some point in the story, he realized, okay, my girl is a vampire, but I'm okay with that because I feel comfortable with her. She's not gonna devour me. But anybody who like try to get in my way or cause a problem, I got her standing in back of me. Like, she got my back. He's like, you don't want to mess with this, you know?
I like that. And
Yeah,
I like the idea that you cast a strong female lead, because a lot of vampire movies, they get male dominated,
yeah,
and we are seeing more and more films, indie and big box, come out with the female as the lead and the male as like a kind of like a co-lead.
right.
Um, did you get any kind of praise for doing that?
Yes. That was like one of the things that I was when, especially when we had a showing at a historic theater here in Cincinnati called the Esquire, and we had a nice crowd, and that was some of the things that I had people ask me about. They're like, "What made you pick a woman to be the lead part in that?" And well, a woman playing a vampire is more sexy than a guy to me, anyway. But the idea of her showing this a type of strength, but yet she had to bring a balance to it, which a lot of times just how it is in our household. A man may be this guy who's going out there, he's working and doing all this kind of stuff. He may bring home but sometimes it's that guy's wife who figures out everything that needs to be done, how this need to be paid, how this. So women always to me have that kind of way of balancing things out. They can figure out things, and then like when people see the story, you see that with her his attitude is like kind of like, you're a vampire. I'll make me a vampire. And she's trying to explain to him like this is
I
wasn't
like
something
you. I don't
that
want this to
I
happen to you.
I,
I like
I
you.
yeah, and that kind of control where he might not have had that. If he'd
Right.
have been a vampire, he might would have just like, yeah, since I'm a vampire, you got to be one now. But she was more thoughtful. And it was. I remember when we did the showing, this one young lady said that she said, "I like how you made her. She was tough. She could be vicious, but she also had that delicate side where she didn't want to do something that she knew that would be harmful or something to her mate that he wouldn't be able to come back from.
Right.
She was willing to carry that weight and not put that weight on him. And yeah, and talking about it, it's um, like I said, I've been trying to do this since like 2012. Tried it again in 2018. This time we got it, and even this time though, it was still a lot of challenges with this. Even though I got it completed, it was a lot of challenges because not being like a spoiler alert or whatever, but like this because I picked that particular actress, Chia Ashbury, because she's a boxer, a real boxer.
Mhm.
Um, there was supposed to be there was going to be like some serious like fights, battle scenes with vampires and her protecting like a lot of that, and it got to be such a challenge, and I saw things happening where I was like, okay, this is beginning to be a problem, trying to get this being going to be a problem, and I started kind of pulling back a little bit, was fearful that I didn't want to go down that road again where this didn't happen.
Right.
So yeah, so I was like, okay, well, I'll this is getting to be such a challenge on this end. I'll scale this down just a little bit, and I'll focus more over on this part, you know. And but yeah, I really wanted, and that was the problem with the poster though, because it was important for me to have a female lead. But when I did the poster, and I just when I saw them together, and that idea came to my head, it was hard for me not to have her out front because I knew when people saw him on the poster, they would think, "Oh, he's to be the star, he's in front." But I just wanted that dynamic to that feeling like the image says that sometimes she bites.
All right, that's a great story. I love that. All right, so let's move on to this photo. Give me a little bit about what the day was like, what kind of scene you were shooting, and how people were interacting.
This was a scene that comes up near pretty much near the end of the movie, and as you can see, it's daytime there. By the time we got done, it was dark, but that was cool because we was at this park, and it's like it's one of the few parks around here that still have these gas lamps
Oh yeah.
and these like kind of cobblestone trails
Mhm.
path. And so that setting, it kind of had that sort of throwback to like your nostalgic type vampire movies from yesteryears with the capes and all of that kind of thing with Christopher Lee playing the lead part or whatever. Um, so we was there doing the makeup work. Sometimes you're trying to do a vampire movie, you gotta have the teeth, and teeth can be challenging. It
Yes.
can be challenging. You get them in there, then it's trying to get the person to talk with them. It was like,
Can
okay,
be very interesting.
yeah, so like, okay, these fades might be a little bit too long. Let's get some shorter ones so you can talk at the same time and not sound like
And
you're
feel comfortable.
be
And
comfortable.
like be yourself.
Yeah. So that's what we was doing there. We was doing the makeup before we was getting ready to film this continuous that particular scene is a continuous shot that lasts, I would say, probably about 6 or 7 minutes. And that's the thing of people don't understand. And I love movies that have long, continuous shots. Oh, just it's something about that. I just like the challenge that people don't understand though is like when you're doing something like that and you get like you're doing this continuous shot, you say, okay, this is gonna be like a 6 minute shot. You get 4 minutes in and something happens, somebody fall or knock over something, like, got to go back to the beginning and start it all over again because there's no break in that shot.
Right.
There's cut. It's just that one long shot, and I love continuous shots, and that's what we were doing, getting things prepared for that and that particular scene.
Let's see what else we got going on here.
Those it's some days like as I call myself this one man show. And I'm not always. It's like, of course, I got actors, and then sometimes I do have people that help me out on the set. But when I when I when I do sometimes have people help me out on the set, because sometimes I'm so used to like doing so much stuff that I have to learn how to like let others do stuff. You know,
Because
because
you can be really good at a lot of things, but you cannot be really good at
every
everything.
uh,
So you gotta you, the idea of being the screenwriter and the producer and the director and all that gives this very large, utterly wild sense of
yeah,
control.
yeah,
And you don't find out how much you don't have control of until
yeah.
you go and you do it. And then what's really cool about this is that you understood this is above my pay grade. I don't understand how to do this part of it, but I know a guy. I got a guy,
Yeah.
and that's the guy. So who's the guy that is helping during this scene?
That's this guy Derek. It was Derek. I think it was Derek Ross, and um, that was like the time when I had when we had like bigger scenes where we was having the actors either we had a larger scene where we had to block it out where it was going to be a lot of movement in it, and and in that location, we want to take advantage of the look that we had there at that particular place. It's like you sometimes you need other eyes on the
Yes.
because sometimes you can get like so in your thing, and I'm one of them kind of directors that some people, like some directors, like this is my idea. This is how I'm doing this. And it's like I'm not listening to nobody else. Um, it's my idea how I want to do this, but I like to be open enough because many times I've had it where somebody who doesn't know anything about cinema, camera work, or whatever, they'll spot something and say, and it's always kind of like they don't want to like make you feel bad because they want to give their little input without trying to make the director feel like he don't know what he's doing. But sometimes they'll say something to you like, I was just looking at that and I had an idea I was just, wondering about, but I don't know if I should say it. And you're like, no, what is it? And it's, what if you had that person though, instead of them coming out of that room from the back, they came in through that door and where the sunlight is already hitting the glass and then like they come in and it's like boom, it's like all of that.
Perfection. Yes.
Yeah.
That
And
dynamic shot like that could
yeah,
make the scene
yes,
complete.
completely. And that's why I think as a filmmaker, director, you have to kind of just keep your ears open and be okay with listening to other people sometimes.
Santa, that's sunlight on there too. On the, I can't point to the picture, but over there,
Yeah,
looks like there's sunlight coming in through, and
yeah,
that natural light. That's
yeah. And that was one of the because it's like people like they always equate like, well, vampires, they don't come out in the daytime. Like, yes,
oh yeah, we do.
it's a whole
Mm.
new era.
Yes, we do. And I like the idea that you were able to give. Let me see if I can open this up a little bit more. Well, I guess it is what it is right there. Let's talk a little bit about this shot.
Yeah, that scene, that was one of those scenes that we like. There are times I rehearse with actors. Then there's for some scenes I might just want to see what that energy is because the actors already know what's happening with their character in that moment. and and I found time sometimes I can rehearse some stuff and then I can like, okay, shape it the way I want it. Give me a little bit more of this, give me a little. And then sometimes though, when it's certain actors and they have that kind of that type of energy that I like for it to be fresh. You know what I mean? So it's like that scene was one of those where it was like when she had to basically put this priest in check, and you could see the expression on her face and the expression on his face.
It's like, you're gonna do what I say, because if you don't, it's gonna be bad for you.
And Donna Winston, who played this part there of character Sage, she like when you're working with different actors, you find out different ways how they like to operate.
Yes.
Uh, some like to run lines. Some actors like she likes to stay more into her character. She don't want to be around sometimes the person who she might be getting ready to act opposite of unless it was set up for us to rehearse. That day it was not set up. We didn't do a rehearse, and it was like she knew what it was her character was supposed to bring to that scene, and he knew how he was supposed to feel from the way she, and it just worked like that, and it just that image, it always I like that because it
He
just
looked like he terrified.
yes, and he had every reason to be.
And it's because sometimes she bites.
Sometimes she bites. And that you talked about the women character, like it people like you see this movie, like the the strong characters in here are women. Um, Vampires, but they are the strong characters in here. Um, they're the one that move this story, um, and I'm glad for that because I like sometimes seeing. I like I say I like sometimes a particular genre that we're used to seeing one way and sometimes flipping it around and doing something different with it. Because, like you said earlier, it's not too often that you get to see movies where it's a female lead that's playing a vampire.
True, true. So what's happening here?
This was this is one of them days where you like I have days where it's like feeling good, you know, camera on my shoulder. We're gonna do some real physical stuff today, and you get into that moment, and and you just like as you can see, I'm just trying
You're
to
zen. You're like right in there.
yes, and you got it, and that's the thing about sometimes when you don't have the camera set on a tripod or something where you can just be like have it right there on your shoulder, or using a gimbal where you can just be right in there with the actors and you can follow their movement and stuff like that, so you can give that audience the same kind of feel of what's going on, like the way you're seeing it.
I like being able to have that POV where you feel like you're in the room.
Yeah,
And so we're at that point in the discussion now. We've talked a lot about the dynamics of how you got the piece from point A to point Z, and then into the ability to be able to put it into film festivals.
right.
What I would like to talk about is the dynamic of the audience. At any point in which you started creating Sometimes She Bites, did you take in respect of the audience?
Yes, I I I like when I create whatever story. Initially, it's coming from me for me because it's in my head, and so. But then I realized, I know at some point I'm creating this idea that I got in my head, and I'm going to be the first one to see it. But then at some point, other people are going to see it, and when other people see it, I want it to be where it's like you can't always sort of try to tell a story in a way where you will hope everybody like it. I mean, you want to, but everybody's not.
Sure.
But I try to keep in mind it was like um, in this story, I didn't want anything like I didn't want any kind of nudity. I didn't want none of that type of anything in here. I just wanted the story the focus to stay on the characters and the focus to be on to have the audience try to feel like what she might have felt like, yeah, what that's like to be a vampire, and you don't really want to be a vampire, but you got to do certain things to stay alive, and like that's real, and so as anytime I do a screening, I always I stand at the back of the theater because I like to see how it's like when the audience is watching it, like when I'm standing there and the audience is watching the movie, it's a weird feeling. It's like I feel this connection. Like I feel like I'm seeing it through my eyes, but I can kind of way feel like I'm seeing it through them because of their mood or how they feeling or how they reacting to certain things. And it's like when it's like you create certain scenes or you create certain dialogue, and then when you doing this stuff, you thinking like, oh, this is a pretty clever line right here, whatever. And then you put it, and you're expecting to make this connection with your audience because you thought this thing out, and you think like this is a nice line here, this is a good scene, and then I've had moments where it's like they didn't connect to that. And it's kind of like, they didn't catch that part. But it doesn't necessarily take away from your story. It
Right.
just it's just the idea like you had this little intricate, this little
Piece
idea
of detail here. And yes,
here, and they didn't catch that. And there was one part in the movie that it was kind of like that because I asked people, I'm like, you remember that one scene when she was at her mom's house and the blood thing, and then she was at other people's house. Did y'all catch that? And they was like, nah, not until you said it.
No, you get to, what's cool about that is that this is a film that you can watch from each person's perspective in the film, and then you start to pick up the different pieces. And
Right.
it's very much done like an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yeah. I at one of the
I
showing.
don't know if that was intentional, but
No,
to me, that's
I'm
classic.
yeah. I'm greatly influenced by the greats like Alfred Hitchcock. Like Rear Window is like my all-time favorite Hitchcock movie. I mean, these guys were masterful at like pulling the audience in. These guys was masterful. Like not only would they craft a story, a great story idea, they also knew how to play with the audience within that. Like they knew where like I'm gonna bring them up here and drop them. You know, like that's genius type stuff. You know, I like
Yes.
it's a scene in there where uh the character that they just saw with the wig and she goes to talk with these other two female vampires and the conversation back and forth that they have. That's like one of my favorite scenes in the movie. They sitting around, they got these wine glasses, and they're drinking blood, and they're having this conversation about what it is that they do and how people react, and it's just like vampire talk. It's like vampire talk over a glass of bloody.
Talking shop. That's what I mean. I mean, you as creatives and viables, you guys talk shop all the time.
Yeah,
We
so
have our particular things that we do where it's, we're just talking shop,
yeah,
having a glass of wine and doing our thing.
yeah. So yeah, that's a lot of. I love that. Nothing like awards, great. Those are great, but audience reaction,
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's like everything. They're
Let's talk about this.
my
Let's talk
peak.
about this. Let's
Yeah.
talk about this fabulous photo we got here.
So
Um,
we got
Please
mother.
introduce everyone that is there and let us know what part they played.
That's Alicia Ashbury. She's the one in the red to your far left. You're right. However you're looking at it. In the white T-shirt. That's her daughter, Chia Ashbury. She's the lead actress, and that guy that's standing there look like he know what he's doing. That's me. And then that's Donna Winston, who played. She was a co-star, and she played Sage in the movie.
I love this. I enjoy photographing people that go to film festivals and have work in within the film festival itself, and I always ask them to show me a part of your personality and give me that. But that right there is
Yeah,
just pure joy. They are so freaking happy to
so
be
much
there.
fun. So much fun. When I told him about it, first I told him like, I was like, we're gonna. I think we got. I think when we got the select, I think we got selected. Then when I found out, like, no, we got second place, and they like, oh, second place, like where? I'm like, it's in Cleveland. They like, like another city, like somebody in another city saw our work, and like, not only did they see it and they liked it so much that they gave us a second place
Said,
award.
let's do
That's
this.
yes,
Absolutely thrilled for you that you had the opportunity to be able to take take your vision from your inside your head
yeah,
and put that thing together.
yes. It,
So freaking cool.
yeah, filmmaking is a beautiful medium. It's it's like I run into a lot of filmmakers, first timers getting, maybe on a second film or whatever. And sometimes what I find is that you got to figure out like why you doing this. Like that's always the question I always ask. Sometimes when I'm talking to people and they like got this other idea for this project, but I'm waiting for this money. I'm waiting for this or whatever. And I've known people who have had these ideas for film, but unless they had this amount of money and can get all of this or whatever they needed, they didn't want to do it. And that's a person's choice. But for me, um, I just love storytelling. I love watching movies, and I never like I like folks who have great dreams of being Hollywood and walk the red carpet on Entertainment Tonight. Or that's great and all of that stuff. Um, I just got into this stuff because I just like movies. Like the first time like I wasn't a filmmaker when I saw Clockwork Orange. I was a photographer, but I wasn't a. But when I watched that movie, I knew I was looking at something different. Like, what is
Mm-hmm.
this? Like what is this? And these characters and how they was, Kubrick captured them in different shots, and that stuff stood out to me, and it just and I'm taking a little bit of this in, and then I see another movie that's kind of like offbeat or off the wall type story, and then after a while you just realize it's like I need to go from showing a person a still picture where I'm trying to tell a story in just one frame to where I want to be able to tell a story several frames for 30 minutes, an hour, or 2 hours, and man, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
This lady right here, she was such a joy.
Such a nice person. Like when I met her, I had did this movie called Chasing the Moon, and I had a MMA trainer who was working with one of my actors, and so I had to go back over to his gym for something, and I saw this woman hitting on this punching bag, and she was tall, and she was beating the crap out of this punching bag, and I'm like, wow. And I asked the guy, the guy who would train my actor. I said, does she, she think she'd be interested in acting? What he's like, hey, go over and ask her. And so I threw this idea out to him, like, have you ever acted before? She's like, no, I give it a try. And she gave it a try, and she did really good at it.
I
And that's
love that she wasn't like, who do you think you are on blah blah blah,
no,
because she kind of known a little bit.
yeah, and the thing that I found sometimes fascinating too is like when you sometimes you meet different people, especially when you're trying to find a person for a role. You meet people who like study acting, they study the craft, and then sometimes you run into somebody who like knows nothing about acting. But what I find sometimes like people like someone like her, like Chia, her being a boxer, I know that it takes a certain discipline and a certain focus you got to have to try to do what it is that she's doing.
Right.
And so I felt comfortable with her. And then I just felt that anybody who can step up in a boxing ring in front of hundreds of people and be okay with
I
that,
think she'd be all right with a camera.
she can be okay with it. And after her doing a few lines and I could see that she could pull this off, I was like, yeah, she'd be fine for this. Yeah. She's ranked like number 15 of female boxers, I think cruiserweight or something like that.
Incredible. Let me see.
Yeah.
I got you. All right. So we're gonna pop back over here. We're gonna go there. Look at you. Look at you go. You have such a fabulous story and a dynamic that allows for you to be able to move within different groups and have you be able to get the thing that was in your head out.
Yeah.
Are you going to do it again? Do you got
Yeah.
something else?
Yes.
Can we get a little sneak peek of what that might be?
Okay. The movie is called Jimmy Got a Gun. Jimmy Got a Gun. The main character in the story is a gun. It is a story. It's short stories within this one feature, but the short stories, they are all connected because this gun is connected to different people in each story, and it's kind of like, and it's almost in a way you get a sense of the story being almost seen through the eye of this gun, where it travels, the hands it ends up in, and um, few people who I've talked to about this, the question was, is this something about, gun rights? Or are you trying to, is there anything that it has nothing to do with that? It's a story about a person who purchased a weapon, and the weapon ends up in this person's hand, and somehow it ends up in another person's hand, and it's that. But it's how each one of those stories though are connected, because in a sense it's like we all are sort of connected. And this one item, um, it becomes connected to all these different people, but in that connection, it brings disaster, you know. And yeah, I'm very excited about this one. Very excited about this
I am absolutely thrilled to have had you on the show. And so, what did you think about your first experience on Zombiepalooza Radio Live, the fuller version?
I enjoyed it. I'm like, anytime I can talk, like, I'm not a big talker, but when it comes to talking about movies and stuff like that and film, I can talk all day about stuff like this. Um, it's just something I'm passionate about. It's something every time I do a project, I look at it, and when I look at it with an audience, I can always feel it's like it's just a weird feeling where I see things different, and I see how I want to improve, you know. And that's the thing I want to do. I want to get better at my storytelling. I want to be better at my cinema work, and so it's just I'll be doing this until I can't. And I'm glad to have somebody who, like yourself, who, be interested in the work that I've done, and to have me come on and talk to your audience about what it is that I do.
I
And for
appreciate that. So, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I want to shout out to my cast: Chia Ashbury, Justin Jordan, Donald Winston, and everybody else that played in there. I can't go through all the whole list, but thank you to those people. Got another project that's it's like it's hitting festivals right now, but it's a documentary. I'm excited about that. It's called Sky High: The Story of Basil Lewis versus Nike. Like, people will start hearing about this as we proceed with festival submissions. So I'm excited about that story too, for it to be a documentary, because I've been wanting to do a documentary now. Glad I had a chance to.
All right, so this is Jackie Chin and Lee Zellars, and this has been Zombiepalooza Radio Live.